Hello and welcome back to SiGMA TV. Joining me here today is Jochen Mebus, Chief Revenue Officer at Textbroker. They're one of the leading online content platform globally, and they will exhibit with us at SiGMA Malta on February of 2021. Jochen, it is such a pleasure to have you today.
Thank you for having me, Yanni. Nice to meet you.
You're very welcome. Nice to meet you too. Jochen, I wanted to start off by you taking us, your audience, in a more in-depth of what Textbroker is and how it became one of the largest content marketplace worldwide.
Sure. So Textbroker was founded 2005 in Germany. That's also where I am based. Today we have office locations here in Germany, in Las Vegas in the US, and in Kiev in the Ukraine, where we run a development office. So basically, we've been one of the first global platforms who do content creation through the crowd, so crowdsourcing principle. And we've pretty much grown with our customers. Back then, in the early days, 15 years ago, creating content was a totally different game than it is today. It was much more about the quantity of content you would put on a website. But as Google and other search engines improved their algorithms, it's now much more about quality. And so we've obviously moved to quality content production as well. We run over a freelancer network of over 500,000 authors, editors, other content service providers. We offer services from content writing over translating, but also peripheral services such as keyword research, content strategy analysis, even link building. We have an offering, and we do that around the world in all languages with 10 self-service platforms, but also agency managed service offerings for basically all languages worldwide.
And Jochen, what is Textbroker's significance in the gaming industry?
This industry and gaming, I would say gaming and sports betting basically, is one of the largest industries represented at Textbroker. We've got over 500 clients from all over the world and also from all parts of this industry. So there are platform operators, there are affiliates, there are agencies, and even service providers that provide tools and technology to this industry. All of them are our customers. Some I can name of the bigger ones is the Digi Outsource Group with their core brands such as Jackpot City or Spin Palace, but also their Betway branch, as well as Tipico, who are, as I said, some examples of larger customers from this industry that are ordering with us. And almost all of these clients, what they have in common and why they like to work with us is the multi-language reach, because all of them are global in a way, some more, some less, but all of them need different languages, translations, localizations, as well as link building.
And Jochen, what are some of the content-related trends that you see happening in the gaming industry?
I think when it comes to working with us, the absolutely number one trend is that of localization. And I mean localization of websites, localization of strategy. So that's by far the biggest aspect people are working with us. And that means questions like analyzing local markets and the competitive landscapes there from a content perspective. So you're entering into a new market, or you want to optimize your position in one of the markets you're in. We can work with you on what are the recommendations from a content perspective. Which content should you promote? Which keywords should you use? And what should you do in terms of publishing and link building and all of these kinds of things. I think we see many players who try a one-size-fits-all strategy, but they see increasingly that doesn't work anymore. So you have to look at local needs, look at local habits, and that's when many people start talking to us. Also, one of the interesting aspects here is, would you translate or would you create fresh content in certain languages? And we even have some customers A/B testing this with us. So they would take one of their English articles, translate it, put it on their site, and then in parallel, as the B version of that test, we would write a fresh article in the target language. And then you can see how the performance develops. And with some of our customers, we have seen that unique content creation performs better than translation, even though also there's no one size fits all. But So all the topics around localization of how to be successful in each single market you're in, that is what we talk to our customers about and why they reach out to us.
Fantastic. Now, as we see more and more government regulations are being imposed in the industry, what are the consequences that come with this to the online marketing mix, and how does TextBroker manage this?
Yeah, I think this is probably the biggest headache for the industry. Ongoing legal changes and even stricter legal regulations in many markets. I think I see two key aspects in this when it comes to the stuff we're doing. So first of all, I think you need the ability to act quickly on regulatory changes. And that means content-wise, the ability to proofread, is your content still complying, to make changes to the content you have, and be fast and scalable in this, so that you reduce the danger of being penalized and that you comply with all the things that are put on you as quickly as you can. I think the second aspect is that these legal changes many times have the impact that you cannot advertise as much as you could anymore. So you're not allowed to do link building in certain countries, or you're not allowed to publish or bid AdWords on certain words. So, and I even know some countries where you cannot bid on online casino anymore as a gambling platform. And I think the result of this is that the organic traffic becomes more and more important. And that is where content plays obviously an essential role. So if you cannot advertise and buy your traffic anymore as much as you could before, the way to grow is to have your website found organically, because that's not something any regulator will be able to regulate you on. And so that content game, and then we're back at what I said before in terms of localization, having the right articles in the right length, in the right depth on your website to be able to compete for organic rankings. I think that is the consequence that many marketing departments will have to take, and then look again at content strategies, and that's when we're in the game.
Now, tapping on the US regulated market, as we see more and more states are opening up their legislation for the industry. Now, what are your key strategies for serving the US, specifically the US regulated market?
Yeah, I think the US opening is one of the biggest opportunities for all players out there. But obviously, it's also a risk because the US is a very special market. And I can certainly tell a story about this. We are in the US since over 10 years. It's today our single biggest local market. Yet I can see in my responsibility, which is global, I can pretty much say there are lots of things different in the US than they are in for instance, in Europe. So first of all, I think it's all about localization again. And when I mean localization, then in the US, it's, I guess, even more local than if you look at other countries, because there it goes down to state level, it even goes down to city levels at some point, especially also when you want to look back at organic search and content related topics. So I think the number one advice I would have is to pay an utmost attention to localization. And then secondly, the thing I'm wondering about a lot in the US is if you take e-commerce sites, for instance, so online shops, they exist in English, even though there is a huge, at least a huge Spanish-speaking population in the US, but also many other languages. I mean, the US is a country of immigrants, and so I think the opportunity for the gaming industry is to do it differently and to provide multi-language versions of their websites also in the US, because I think that will please a lot of consumers there who are looking at these sites, because they're not used to that, and they're not, they always have to adapt to English language because, many websites or online stores are not doing that yet. So all in all, I think everyone who wants to go to the US and needs content, we're here to help. And with our experience in the US, I think we can bring everyone forward.
And lastly, are there any exciting plans or projects in the work for TextBroker that you could tell us about, Jochen?
There's always some interesting stuff going on. So yeah, one maybe to mention is we're working with a few customers on on an automated content project. So where not a human writer is writing anymore, but where we program a machine to write articles. And a use case I can clearly see in this industry is, pre-match reportings. So I don't know, next Saturday, Chelsea plays Manchester United, and you want to be found as a betting platform for that particular game. So the relevancy for this article is 2 weeks, maybe 1 week, or a few days before the game. So you need to be very fast, you need to be very scalable. And so this is typically not a case where human writers can produce an ROI because they're too slow, they're too expensive, and so on. So we have customers that work with us and some technology to produce automated content for this kind of content. That could be one thing I would see. Secondly, there is really cool technology out there for content market analysis that we're having access to from some of our partners. And so you can get recommendations specifically. Let's say you want to go to the Philippines, can particularly analyze that market in terms of how many pieces of content will you need on your site, how will they need to be written, so that the probability of being found is significantly higher than if you just try it out of the blue. So that's the second aspect. And thirdly, and I unfortunately can't tell you many details, but there is also a lot going on and especially also because of the regulations that we've discussed before, there's a lot going on in finding technology that helps you drive traffic to your website. So some of that is pretty interesting technology, which might be a little bit of a gray area when you look at Google. Therefore, I'm not going to tell you more about that, but anyone who wants to know more, I'm sure you find a way to connect me with that person.
Definitely. Brilliant. Well, Jochen, I enjoyed our discussion. It was very informative. I learned a lot. And thank you for talking to me today and for sharing your insights with us. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me. Great talking to you, and all the best.
It was an absolute pleasure, Jochen. Thank you very much. Stay safe. Thanks. In Germany.
Bye-bye.